Good morning. I'm Carlton pastor of Faith Christian Center Church, right here in Beaumont, Texas. And we're here on what's happening in our neighborhood. And today my special guest is Pastor Randy Philshaw. Welcome, Pastor.
Well, Pastor, thank you. It's so good to be with you.
Hey, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, you know, Pastor, first of all, I was born here in Beaumont at the Old Baptist Hospital on the corner of College and 11th Street. Grew up in this area. Grew up in Mid-County, but ended up graduating from South Park High School.
Wow.
That's a long story. We won't get into that. I've been in the ministry 38 years in full-time ministry. Been in and out of Beaumont, but I've been back this time for 13 years now, and pastoring at Cathedral in the Pines up on East Texas Freeway.
Hey, Pastor, you were involved in what you call Not in My City. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, you know, Pastor, when I came back here in 2006, immediately I encountered a culture at my church at Cathedral in the Pines, where historically the African-American community was not welcome there. And so immediately I began to change that culture. I began to preach on it from the pulpit and call it for what it is. Racism is a sin. Wow. I began to deal with it, began to change that culture, and I hired the first African-American to ever work at that church, Charmaine James. I've hired others since then. I started 2 Hispanic churches, and through all of this, the church has been moving forward, becoming a voice in this community for racial reconciliation. But it really ramped up in 2016. Yeah. The shooting of Sterling and Baton Rouge with Castile and St. Paul, and then the ambush of the officers in Dallas. And that week, God spoke to me and gave me a word for my church. I released it, and then we released that word, not in my city. So then we were off to the races.
And then you did a gun buyback program.
We have. Not in my city has involved from, you know, racial reconciliation to the gun buyback, working with city and county law enforcement to try to address the violence in our streets, to the pulpit swap with pastors, black and white churches coming together, swapping pulpits all on the same Sunday, to we're helping now with the Dream Center out at the old teenage detention center out on Highway 69. We do substance abuse ministry through Celebrate Recovery, prison ministry, and on and on and on. That story goes with Not in My City, addressing the social ills that we're facing here in Beaumont.
But that's not the only thing, Pastor. You were heavily involved in Hurricane Harvey relief.
We were. Harvey hit hard here on Tuesday night, August the 29th, 2017. The next morning, Wednesday, I put 11 boats out into the water, pulling people out, rescuing people. Then we shifted into distribution, 300 cars at a time coming through the parking lot. Then we shifted into cleaning out the homes, drying them out. And then we shifted into build out. Now, in the first phase, we did $1.2 million in building people's homes out.
Wow.
Now we're in the second phase, and because we continue, we started another 501c3 organization that's under the umbrella of the church that's called United Aid of Southeast Texas. And now we're targeting about, the total amount when it's all said and done should be around $3.5 million.
Wow.
So this time it's going to be around $2.5 million, and then the 1.2 will give us that 3.5 to 3.7. But we're building people's homes out. We go in, we bring the material, the labor. It's move-in ready when we're done.
Wow.
And we're reaching Port Arthur, Silsbee, Star Lake, Orange, Beaumont, wherever Harvey touched, then we're touching. And we're trying to hit those high compassion points. Elderly, disabled, single mothers, the sick, first responders, anyone that doesn't have flood insurance that got impacted by Harvey, we're trying to help. And right now with phase 1 and phase 2, we're probably up to about maybe 70, 75 homes.
Wow.
So we're trying to target 120. And so we're still looking for homes. If there's anyone that needs help with flood relief, they can call the church. They'll switch them over to United Aid of Southeast Texas.
That's good.
And we'll send a caseworker out to their home. And if it qualifies, if it was truly rising water, and if it's something we handle, which 90% of the time it is, we're there.
Wow. Now, Pastor, you made a decision recently to get involved in local politics. So tell us a little bit about that.
You know, Pastor, as I mentioned, I've been in full-time ministry for 38 years now. I started full-time when I was 19 years old. I've been preaching
straight out of high school.
Right out of high school. And that's one of the reasons why, I mentioned graduating from South Park. I graduated early so I could get started. And so I've been in full-time ministry for 38 years. And in the back of my mind, I was always suspicious that one day my civic service to the community would extend beyond the church and would take me into the mountain of government.
Yeah.
But I would never pursue it. I'd never lay my hand on it. I felt that if this was in God's destiny for me, he would bring it to me. And so you remember February a year ago, Get Williams Wright passed away.
That's right. Yep.
And whenever she passed away, that opened up a seat on Beaumont City Council at large. And so I was approached. I was actually approached by a local African-American pastor who said, Randy, you should run for city council.
Wow.
You're doing work with Not in My City,
Yeah.
gun violence, racial reconciliation, working BISD, working with Lamar, working with the city council, the mayor, law enforcement,
Yeah.
and on and on and on. All the things I've done. He said, you're doing the work. Why don't you take the seat? And so I spent all of last summer, 3 months, talking to civic, business, and religious leaders, asking their counsel and their advice, should I do this? And every man, every woman that I talked to, 100% said, you should do this. And so at the end of August last year, I announced to my church that I was running for Beaumont City Council at large. And when I did, they exploded.
Wow.
They jumped to their feet. And their response to me was, Pastor, of course you're going to run for city council. That's the next step in our progression as a church.
Wow.
And our vision to impact the city and to bring about territorial transformation.
Wow. Now, there's been a little confusion going on about the political process. So can you explain to the public who are watching today how the political process for city council works?
Well, first of all, remember that early voting is April the 22nd through the 30th. Then election day is Saturday, May 4th. Remember, you get 4 votes. And this is where the confusion comes in.
Right.
You can vote once for the mayor. You can vote once for the ward you live in. And Beaumont is broken up into 4 wards. And so you can vote for the ward you live in. And then you get 2 choices or 2 votes for at large, because there's 2 seats on the council at large. So there's the mayor, 2 at-large seats, and then 4 wards. And so when you go to vote for mayor, vote for the ward you live in, and then make 2 selections, 2 choices, or cast 2 votes for 2 people for city council at large. Right now, there's 7 of us running at large, and you get to pick 2 of them. And I would appreciate it if you would prayerfully consider giving me one of the 2 votes that you're going to cast for Beaumont City Council at large.
That's important for people to understand, because, with all the things that are going out in our city about you only vote for one at-large position, really it's 2.
Yes.
So I want to make sure that people understand that, hey, you have 1 for mayor, 1 for your ward council person, and 2 for the at-large position, because, it's up to you. Okay. Now, why is this election so important?
Pastor, Southeast Texas Economic Development Foundation is predicting $54 billion coming into this area over the next 10 years. We've already seen it start. $10 billion with the Golden Pass LNG project down in the Sabine Pass area.
Wow.
So it's already started. It's coming. And so it begs the question, with this economic and numerical growth that's coming to our community, are we ready for this opportunity? Now, I mention opportunity because I believe this is an opportunity for us to turn our community around. We have been stuck at 118,000 people since 1960.
Wow.
That's older than me, okay? We've been stuck there since 1960. The problem we're having is 2 things. Number 1, there is a perception problem, okay?
Yeah.
Now, perception is not reality, but it is their reality.
Right.
Whoever's perception that is their reality.
Right.
So you may not agree with what I'm getting ready to say, but you need to understand this is the perception that people have held
outside of Beaumont.
Outside of Beaumont.
Yeah.
Statewide, the perception has been less than positive. Number 1, they say you're racially divided.
Yeah.
Number 2, they say you have a substandard school district. Number 3, they say your infrastructure, your city is decaying. You don't have any curb appeal. You're not a pretty city.
Wow.
And then 4th, they say your crime rate is higher than the state average. Now, that may not be true, but that's people's perception.
Yes.
And we have got to change the perception of Beaumont. We've got to change the narrative or the storyline of Beaumont. The second thing we have a problem with is we can't retain our young people. As a pastor, I see it all the time.
Yep.
Where my kids, the best and the brightest, graduate from high school, go to college, and come back, and they announce to me, "Hey, Pastor, I'm moving." "Where are you going?" "I'm going to Houston, Dallas, Austin, San Antonio." And I always ask why. They say to me, "The quality of life here is just not what I want." Now, there are people who disagree with that too. But the fact is, we're losing our young people. Our sons and daughters are moving. And people perceive us as being racially divided, substandard school district, infrastructure is poor, and our crime rate is too high. And I know that's true. One way is because businessmen tell me, I can't get nobody to move here to work for me because of those 4 reasons.
Wow.
I go to try to hire staff, and they ask me, "Okay, where are your church at?" "I'm in Beaumont, Texas." And they go, Beaumont. "Oh, I've heard of Beaumont. I don't want to go to Beaumont." So we have a perception issue that we need to change, and we need to retain our young people. And now is the time. The opportunity is coming. $54 billion the next 10 years.
Wow.
We can take advantage of this opportunity, but that is going to require new leadership in the city council.
So what unique skill do you bring to this opportunity for our city?
Well, you know, Pastor, as you know, in running a church, there are 2 kinds of people you need. You need managers. Managers are men and women who will manage ideals and systems. They keep the train running on time. They make everything work. But then you need leaders. Leaders are men and women that can move people with vision. They can have a vision for the city.
That's good.
And on the city council right now, we have all these people are good people. I'm not attacking anyone. They're all serving because they love our city. But I believe the next 10 years and the opportunity it's bringing to us requires perhaps a fresh and a new voice. Someone that understands the art of negotiating and that has a gift of diplomacy. Because I see so much tension and divisiveness on a council right now, and I feel like the council is paralyzed and they can't get anything done because the children won't play together well in the sandbox. So it needs leadership that can come in and bring diplomacy. And I'm saying children don't play well. I don't mean that.
I understand what you're saying. So what are some of the biggest issues that you see that we need to face? I know you just listed those 4 things, but what do you see?
Well, again, one of the problems we're having right now is that Beaumont is stagnated. Beaumont is not moving forward. It's not growing as a community, and we must grow. I know that our citizen local level, there's way too much divisiveness. There was a time in America when we could sit down as men and debate an issue as statesmen. We could debate an issue, but we would seek compromise for the sake of our citizens, because we want to advance their living, okay? So we would compromise for their sake. But now there's the politics of revenge. I'm going to beat you, not because of the issue, and I don't agree with the issue that's on the table. I just want to beat you because you're a Republican or you're Democrat or independent or you're black, white, brown, or I just want to beat you. And it's the politics of revenge. So we don't have statesmen anymore. We just have people that specialize in character assassination.
That's it.
And we have to stop this in America. And it starts on the local level. So in Beaumont, we need to start growing again as a community. And there's issues that we can do. We got to change the narrative of Beaumont. And I know we can do that because of a place called Waco, Texas. Waco, Texas, for years was known as David Koresh Country. But then a couple pops up by the name of Chip and Joanna with a television program called The Fixer Upper. And they took and turned the entire community around.
They sure did.
Now we got people flying in there from overseas to visit Magnolia Springs because of one program. So it can happen there.
It can happen right here in Beaumont.
It can happen here. So we got to change the narrative. We got to deal with the divisiveness that we see in our government. And then we've got to attract new and diverse businesses here in order to retain our young people. Because our young people, they don't want to work, and some of them don't want to work in refinery. That's okay. So we got to get aggressive. The city council needs to get aggressive at going out and courting new and diverse businesses into the city of Beaumont so we can keep our young people here, and then we can begin to grow. So we've got a lot of work to do. And I haven't even touched on the infrastructure, public works, the sewer system, the streets. I haven't even talked about economic development, and there are things that we can do with opportunity zones downtown, reinvestment zones downtown, what they call historical district tax incentives downtown. We can get our downtown area up and going, but it's going to take a city council that's aggressive. And I'll be honest, not to be critical of any one person, but I feel that our city council has been playing it safe for way too long.
Wow.
See, this is the problem with politicians.
Yeah.
They want to lead from caution.
Yeah, if I can get reelected.
In regards to the next election, okay? Instead of being decisive and leading from there for the sake of citizens.
Yeah.
And here's the difference with me. I'm not a politician. I've been in the ministry for 38 years. I've been a civic servant in my community for 38 years, helping cities and communities. I'm helping this one for the last 13 years, and I will continue. Win or lose this election, I will keep doing what I'm doing. It's not going to stop. But being on city council, I feel that it affords me a greater opportunity to transform our city. And I may be a one-term council member because I'd rather be one term and make a difference than to be on there for a lifetime and do nothing because of fear. I will not rule that way.
Wow. So how is your campaign going right now?
You know, right now we're very excited because, of course, let's just be honest. Beaumont is 52% black, 33% white, 15% Hispanic, and 5% other. And when I move in and out of all those four cultures and people groups, the response that I'm getting is very positive.
Wow.
And so I'm very encouraged. The African American community has been very open and warm with me. The whites that I'm talking to are very open to me. The Hispanics, all the groups. I've been working with the Indian population that we have. And so all the groups that I've been talking to have been very positive, very open, and very warm, and very receptive to my message. And right now, the leaders of Beaumont that I'm speaking to, whether they're black, white, or brown, are telling me that I have a very good chance to win, and there are some that are actually saying you will win. Wow. So we're very positive.
Well, now, you know, there are some who have concern about a pastor running for civil duty for government position. How do you feel about that? What's your response?
Well, and I understand that we're in the South, and I do understand people's perception and their definition of a minister. But I just want to remind people of how this nation was founded. Yeah. This nation was founded by a group of people that were seeking religious freedom. One of the signers of the Declaration of Independence, the gentleman from New Jersey, was actually a minister. We have to remember that on our currency it says, "In God we trust."
God we trust.
We have to remember our pledge, one nation under God. We have to remember that this nation was founded on Judeo-Christian values. The other thing we have to remember is that in our country, there was a time when it was very natural for a minister to shift from the pulpit to the podium.
Yes.
Now, why is that? Because they were civic servants, they were public leaders, they had a voice, and they were addressing the same issues. Right now in Beaumont, for 13 years, I've been addressing the racial issue, flood relief, the problem with poverty, the problem with sex trafficking, drug abuse, violence in our streets. I've been addressing all the social ills that city council is concerned about. And so there was a time in our country when it was easy for a minister to shift from the pulpit to the podium because he was the voice and the conscience
of the people.
He was the one that brought that moral tone.
Yes.
And here's the thing. You can pass a law. Well, let me back up. Let me say it this way. I believe in our nation that it's time for leadership by men and women of integrity.
Right.
I believe it's time for leadership that will bring righteousness to the government. Now, when I say righteousness, I simply mean let's just do
what's right.
The right thing. Now, when
that's simple.
Well, I'm not sure about a minister, and what I'd say back is this. Well, there was a time in our country when ministers would make that transition easy. And thank God men like Dr. Martin Luther King did it. Because if he hadn't have done that, we would have the civil rights that we have today. And I believe it's time for men and women to get back into government and bring righteousness. Just do the right thing. That's all it is. But know this, and I'll finish with this. I'm running, and if I win, I will serve not as a Christian council member, but as a council member who happens to be a Christian. Now, I say that because I will represent all the people of Beaumont, black, white, brown, Democrat, Republican, Christian, other, agnostic, and atheist. I will represent everybody because it's one nation under God.
Yeah. Liberty
and justice
for all.
For all. And so I will represent all the people of this city.
And that's why your slogan is One City United.
One City United, because the next 10 years is going to afford us $54 billion in this community. Change the narrative where people, I heard it just again the other day, a lady moved here and she said, I heard all my life that this was the armpit of Texas, but here I am. I've heard that comment all my life. Well, I'm tired of hearing it, and I want to change the perception, the reputation, the image, or the narrative of Beaumont, and let's write a new story. And the next 10 years affords us an opportunity to do that, but it's going to take leadership that understands that and that's not afraid to tackle the hard issues. And one of them is the racial tension that we have in our city.
That's good, Pastor. Well, listen, I want to thank Pastor Randy Philshaw for joining us today to talk to us about his run for city council. Listen, again, you have 4 votes for city council, 1 for mayor, 1 for your councilman in your ward, and then 2 at-large positions. And so I want to thank you for joining us, and I want to thank you for joining us on what's happening in our neighborhood, and we will see you next time on our broadcast.
Hello, I'm Randy Philshaw, and I'm running for Beaumont City Council at large. I appreciate you giving me this moment to introduce myself to you and tell you why I feel the need to run for City Council at this particular time. I was born here in Beaumont, the old Baptist Hospital, on the corner of College and 11th. I grew up in this area, and I've been pastoring here at Cathedral in the Pines for the last 12 years. Most of you know me through Not in My City, an outreach that we had for working with the mayor and city council, city law enforcement, and also county law enforcement, trying to address the social ills of our community. We've touched on everything from racial reconciliation all the way over to Harvey flood that impacted all of us in 2017. And at this time, I feel the need to extend my service to the community by running for City Council. Southeast Texas Economic Development Foundation is predicting that over the next 10 years, $54 billion will flow into Southeast Texas. And that does beg the question, are we ready for the demand that this economic and numerical growth is going to place upon our city? Is our city leadership ready? Is our public works and our infrastructure ready? Are we ready for what's coming? I believe at this time, because of what we're facing, it demands new leadership. Leadership that has a vision. Leadership that looks to the future. Leadership that has a commitment to excellence and will foster that spirit in the city council and throughout city government. Leadership that has a proven record for bringing the city together. Leadership that will change the narrative of Beaumont. I believe we can write a new story for this community because I believe Beaumont is a great place to live. So I'm asking you, on May the 4th, would you consider giving me one of your 2 votes for City Council at large? I ask you for this because I believe together we can change Beaumont. Together we can change the narrative of the city. Together we can make Beaumont a better place to live.